I was born ready for live.
Woo!
I mean,
we're ready.
Welcome to the Dusty Auspex, everybody.
Hey.
Who's this guy?
What am I doing here?
Yeah.
You got Sid Sector on the show.
Due to lack of content.
That's right, yeah.
He is filling up a void that we didn't have the ability to fill.
This is his nickname, Sid the Phil Sector.
Many women have told me that.
Actually, you should just call him Phil Sector next time you see him.
Sid's got jokes today, man.
Yeah, so I, of course, am Dan Hewen. This is Rory Tracy.
Yeah.
And we're back for Season 3 of the Dusty Auspex, live from wonderful Reset Ultra Lounge.
I feel like we gotta move that light a little bit.
It's,
Rory needs some more of that,
yeah, Rory's kind of...
I'm in the darkness.
He's going into a black hole.
Ready for my close-up.
Producer Josh helps Rory appear.
I think I wore too much black.
Yeah, and your face has a lot of darkness on it, too.
Well, yeah.
Actually, if you put it down a little, your face disappears into your sweater.
That's fun.
All right. Well,
we got a good episode, maybe.
Yeah, since the last show we did, the last one we did was live at Hidden City Comics for the 8th edition midnight release.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I did not play a game.
No, neither did I. And you know what, though? Who cares? Just kidding. 8th isn't that bad. There's a lot of people talking about 8th, though. Obviously, it just came out. Man. It's drastically different from most of the other editions we've seen in the last, 20 years, quite frankly.
I think it's human nature to be adverse to change.
Yeah. Well, of course. And also, people had a lot invested in these lists that, let's be honest, in 7th, had a lot of mostly unkillable elements to them. Suddenly, all those elements
that was me, actually.
are just, way different.
Ultra defense versus ultra offense.
Yeah,
I dug in like a nuclear impenetrable cockroach.
Yeah, it sucked. Because I like most lists anyway. Whatever. 7th is done. I don't.
7th is done. Bury it. Forget about it.
I was good.
Go play with Juice in the basement somewhere.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, exactly. If anyone's looking for a game of 7th, get in touch with Justin Carter on the forums,
refuses
on Facebook.
But you know what? And it's kind of the same sentiment that we were kind of giving out on the Hidden City night there. And we've had a little bit of time to digest.
Yeah.
Gestate. People are finding broken lists. One of the things I wanted to talk about today was Forge World. Speaking of broken lists, and Forge World did not disappoint. It disappointed in some aspects,
like spelling and grammar and wound counters.
Oh my
goodness! Numbers.
Alphabetizing things.
I literally played a Corsair list that exploited links. The links. Anyways, Forge World typos for about 8 months there.
It's worse now, though.
Yeah, is it?
As opposed to just kind of like a smattering of typos and misinformation, It's like the book is just poorly
There's a lot of stuff where it'll be like 10 to 16 wounds, this profile. Then it'll be like 22 plus, this profile. And everyone's like, what happens from like 17 to 22? Is it just back to full or no? And then obviously it wouldn't be, but people on Facebook are like, I guess it's full wounds then. I'm like, what indicates that?
Yeah.
That's rough. What units are like really misspelled right now?
I can't even give you.
That's a great question.
I can't give you actual examples right now.
That's terrible.
Where's your encyclopedic
all over
knowledge
Facebook.
of all the rules?
They just look like assholes.
You know what's Sid?
I'll sit back. Let the professionals do
You're a
their
guest
stuff.
in our house.
They exist. All right. No,
I'm a little too comfortable.
That's actually not the direction I was going to go with it, though. Like Forge World unit, I was happy with some of them. Some of them suck. Like the links, I'm kind of underwhelmed with. It's not very much. Yeah. It's not a very point-heavy unit anymore, and there's a good reason for that because it's not nearly as threatening as it used to be, which sucks. But other units that have been
we're the one link supporter club in Winnipeg.
Yeah, nobody else wants to play with.
I think Devin bought one once upon a time.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he build and paint 2 of them? Because I did.
It's an investment.
I told you not to get 2.
Let's see what Uncle eBay thinks of those these days.
But what I'm thinking more of is kind of these obscure units that I'm starting to kind of sift through it, and I want to build a guard army now. Because they're broken, especially in
they're top tier for sure.
They are super duper broken. Just things like Thunderbolts, like a
Imperial Navy.
Imperial Navy stuff is great.
Yeah.
Even Lehman Russ heavy lists are doing pretty good as of right now. I know I got spanked.
Do you know which variant is the good one?
I think when I played against Scott, and now again Scott's not. It wasn't like a super meta list.
Now Scott isn't very good.
But it did
definitely low tier.
It was mostly the battle cannon, and I think what's the Plazi the plasma variant.
Right, I'm not sure what it's called, but
Yeah,
Executioner
with the
maybe.
Meltas and stuff.
It could have been the Executioner.
Or just use the autocannon one with Meltas.
Whatever. Either way, most of them are good. I mean, they're not like crazy. They might actually get a little bit of a boost, says producer Scott later down the road. I'm starting to kind of dig IG in general, though. I'm enjoying them. I think that it's an interesting way to go.
Yeah.
Blob armies seem really good right now.
Yeah, you know why? It's because this edition introduced so many weapons that do multiple wounds. So, I mean, it's called damage, but that's what it is, quite frankly, is you're taking all of these wounds from so many different weapons now. Like a Dark Eldar Dark Lance does D6, and a Blaster, which is like a mini one, does D3. So, you know, everyone's like, oh, D weapons died in 8th edition. I'm like, well, a lot of things more or less became mild, toned down versions of D weapons.
Yeah, pretty much.
So blob armies present this awesome opportunity when you have people that have these massive power boners who are like, oh man, I'm going to take like a gazillion lance weapons and I'm just going to D6 everything. And then suddenly, you know, you're looking at like several hundred guardsmen or like a couple hundred orcs or something, which, you know, in my 2K I've got like 135 troops, or not troops, just infantry models. There's so much that those weapons will not help you with there. You're going to be las cannoning 6-point models off the table, being like, now he's dead 6 times! You know,
maybe
so
that speaks to the health of the edition, right? That there isn't some just like auto win list right now. People don't even know what the meta is.
You know, there's
it's close.
there's a
top
winged,
contenders.
breasted.
But I mean, the philosophy of like a few heavy hitters versus a blob, that still hasn't been worked out yet.
I mean,
That's
if,
nice.
if you can find a nice way, and I guess this would just be a balanced list, but if you could find a nice way to marry a bunch of las cannons with like a really good CC troop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something that you can throw in there. You're keeping everything big off the table with the las cannons, and then
Or conscripts with guard, right?
right, or engaging just like a giant blob with another giant blob.
You know what I really like
guard
is
is good,
there's
yeah.
also a lot of weapons that put out a ton of shots. Like twin link weapons now are just double the shots instead of re-rolling, and stuff like that. I've always wanted from twin link weapons.
Well, like the Vendetta is like, was it 6 shots at like 5+ when it moves, basically?
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah, and you know what? Like orc bikes now, each one puts out 6 shots. So like
It's crazy.
there's a lot of weapons like twin linked heavy bolters are 6 shots. You know, there's just so many guns that are putting out a ton of firepower now. So you do have things that sort of balance it out. And also to what you were saying, how hordes can't just auto win and how like heavy shooting lists can't auto win. I like that has, there's almost like a scale there where you know, they're gonna eat each other. Who really knows what the actual like decent build is these days? But I find, as a lot of people were saying when 8th was coming out, oh yeah, it's that edition where you play every model you have, you diversify. I don't think that's really the case.
No.
Because I've tried that and just seems to do just as bad as it did before. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Like you can't be everything to everyone, as they say in certain circles, and like that's, I think, one of them, where you can't just be like, I'll bring one elite to deal with the elites and a fast to deal with the fast, and then it's just like, you know, this guy brings like 6 Lehman Russes and you're like, it's all dying. Or like producer Josh has got NIDS. They're so fast now, and like you know, they're gonna run over your diversified to the max list.
I think you do have to think about it. I mean, there is still a strategy to get out of it, but once you figure that out, I think it's a lot easier to do that. I mean, that was the big thing too, right? Everyone's like, oh, this is going to be the death of spam list. There's going to be no more spamming. And then they come out with detachments that are
Build your own formations.
6 in 1. I have an HQ in 6 of these. You know, or like just straight up 5 of these.
I actually feel like this edition is less forgiving for the fun, fluffy units.
Yes.
Like,
Totally.
if you're not being 100% efficiency, you're going to get spanked every time.
I think lists are gonna, in competitive scene, people are gonna carve out niches, and they're not gonna, like, you're not gonna see lists that run over every single thing. The closest thing to it would be like the current Magnus and Friends build, like the Flying Circus or whatever that Kyle's been calling it. Kyle with a C is how I'm gonna start calling him. But I think for the most part, people are going to do really well against certain lists and really bad against others, and it's not going to really matter what race they are. It's going to be like, are you playing a Horde version, or are you playing a lot of high-strength weapons? You know, like...
Yeah, or can you find a way to do both, which I think is probably your secret weapon there. I mean, while we're on the subject, I mean, there are definitely some broken OP units.
Oh, yeah,
But that being said, those units typically are either good at killing a lot of little things or killing one big thing. So if you can kind of come at them with whatever that other, you know, like whatever the counter to that is.
Yeah. Some of the Forge World stuff's really nice for that.
Some Forge World stuff is super broken.
They made an incredible orc tank that hits on a 4+. I was like,
unheard of.
What? And it's so good. And there's no like roll a d6 to see if it's the stupidest model in the game.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool. That was like 450 points, and it just, you know, won't shoot this turn. That's helpful. Like,
I mean, certain things are definitely underpointed, though. I mean, Magnus being a glaring example of that.
That is the winged breasted mammoth that I was referring to before. For, what is it, under 500 points, you have a model that can cross the table in one turn and pretty much like spank anything. Like, he gets so many attacks and so much damage.
There's like a level of reserve for the Primarchs in terms of power right now. And there's 2 Primarchs. I don't really know Gulliman too much, but
I hear he's really good, because that one list from the GT that just finished was Gulliman and then a gazillion 5-man units or 10-man units.
Well, I'd like to see more Primarchs come out. Maybe they can offer some balance. Or maybe we should restrict the use of Primarchs, because I don't know.
Actually, that's an interesting point. I don't think they would, because they want to sell them, but like, maybe that's not a bad idea, because there's only 2.
Through Magnus, it's pretty evident that it's another level of brokenness or power. Like, even a Lord of War just can't contend just because of its low point value for Magnus. So it's a whole other level.
Well, like him warp timing across the table and then like smoking all your tanks and stuff like that.
Like smite wounds or whatever it was. Like
+2 to psychic powers.
And that's the thing too. Like, now we're getting a response from GW that we haven't normally received, right? Like that they're going to be releasing the chapter approved. I'm guessing on like a semi-annually.
I think it's gonna be a bit like StarCraft, where the community lets them know what's OP, and then they kind of nerf it or introduce new stuff to balance out other sides.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, given GW's previous track record, I'm assuming it's going to be introduce more stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
As opposed to nerfing something that'll be, you know, I mean, we have yet to see what the codexes bring to, right? Like, as Sid was saying to me earlier tonight, like, we're still in the index phase, right? Like, I'm talking about buying a bunch of stuff, guard, typically, because I think they're fun and broken. So,
I love guards. My first army, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, they are super appealing. And until I kind of figured out speed painting, the prospect of painting 150 troops was not
daunting.
Yeah,
it's insanely daunting,
right? You're like, I'll just play Space Marines. I can make 40 of something, 150 not so much.
On that note, though, I've started to redo the Orc Horde in, instead of just black and yellow, but the black, red, orange, yellow, so that they all have some depth to them. And you know what? Like, with the airbrush, it's actually pretty decent if you have a scheme down where you know you can just wash the flesh and then add small details after.
And I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of the airbrush for every aspect of, and I know Sid is too. But I mean, the major workhorse aspect of that tool is painting a lot of shit.
Yeah, all at once. Quick, yeah, right? Like, I remember when Fabio, long time ago, made a post, I think when he was painting his Necrons, he goes, I'm painting my Necrons today. And like, I had never thought about that, because to me, thinking about 40k painting was always like, it'll take you 2 days to finish just one.
Yeah.
And then like, I see this post where this guy's got all these models on this table and he's about to just spray them all, and I was like, wow, that's like an army on a Saturday, you know what I mean? Yeah.
It can be
so
done.
I had to, I mean, I really wanted to get one, luckily enough I did, but you know, I feel my heart goes out to anyone who's got a guard army or like anything with a lot of models.
Russian hand?
Yeah, basically. Oh man,
from just
even more so if they're not dry brushing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Speaking of hobby stuff too, actually, Sid did bring something in.
Pretty cool.
That I think he wants to share with everyone. What did you bring today, Sid?
Should I do it now?
Yeah,
Tell us about your toy, Sid.
Here,
my toy for big boys.
I'm gonna grab a piece of paper here.
So last time I was on the show, tied down. And we got another brother.
Hey, I don't know how to do this. There we go.
Let's see if we can get a...
Is that helping? I don't think I'm helping. That's nice, Dan, what you're doing in the back there. Very mature.
Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
This thing's so steady. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I brought another towel unit, and it's like a dry brush technique, oil streak technique, chipping technique, even some wave effects. So I'm more than happy to talk about any technique I use to achieve it.
Also, a good amount of it, didn't you do live on the
yeah. I painted, I think, the leg from start to finish on 40BG.
And I think that when you did the leg over like 6 broadcasts or something like that, that's the level of detail that goes into these things.
Well, I have to say this is a pretty economical technique in terms of time, because the airbrush does a lot of work for you. Enamel, I think it's an enamel chipping streak, and I also use that to line the panels. Super easy to use, super fast. It's definitely a speedier technique, actually.
What do you mean by enamel chipping? Like you're just placing down...
It's enamel chipping or enamel streaks, but I use AK Interactive chipping effects for the chipping. I used MIG Ammo rust streak effects for the rust streaks and the panel lining. And I just picked up a bottle of mineral spirits from like an art store, and that's all you need.
What do you do with the mineral spirits? Like, how does that work?
Mineral spirits, you use those to thin enamels and oil paints.
Oh,
and
I see.
basically, they take a long time to dry. So with the enamel or with the spirits, you can manipulate it and push it around, clean it up. Something that you won't notice from an acrylic wash, like a GW wash, those will just dry right away.
So it's like a wash, but it stays wet for a while.
Well, it's just like the MIG Ammo rust streak effects. That's obviously a particular product. Mm-hmm. Oil paints, they're just gonna squeeze it out of a tube like a thick paint, dilute them as much as you want. You could paint the whole model with them. I know Dave Vialago uses oil paints to paint whole models.
Really? And that takes a long time to dry. Like,
sure. Like Van Gogh with the miniatures.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing though, right? I think when you get into the hobby, at least for me, you look at something, you're like, damn it, that's a lot of little tiny lines they use. And then you start to slowly realize, okay, this is all about different techniques. Things don't have to take a stupid amount of time.
One technique that, if you don't mind me sharing, is really cool. I actually watch the Tested YouTube channel from Adam Savage from Mythbusters.
Yeah, that's a great channel.
He's a former special effects kind of professional, and so he just paints miniatures sometimes on that show, like maybe like models like this big that'd be used for like like the old Star Wars kind of special effects. And what he does is just primes it with a spray can, spray paint like one color, grabs some oil paints, like just wash the whole thing, and then just like gets like a piece of paper towel or a cloth, dips it in some of the spirits, and just starts wiping. Oh, and that's like, I guess, like an old movie special effects technique to painting miniatures, and it can't be faster.
And by wiping it, you mean that does all the weathering and all that, or
it does all the shading?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's just it, though, right? I mean, it's like I said, it's not about taking a stupid amount of time to do something. It's knowing the way to do it properly.
Not that doesn't work too. And then like your non-metallic metal stuff is like time intensive, but it pays off.
I hate that. I like that.
Now, in the videos when you were working on this guy, you were using a lot of like the foam blocks and putting things on wires and all that, like parts and all that.
Yeah, I
do you do that same thing for infantry too?
If it facilitates airbrushing faster, then for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It definitely is easier to paint, not on the screw, but to paint things individually.
Yeah, I mount pieces on paper clips.
Yeah, and that's a smart way to do it. I, however, typically end up building something completely.
I'm super impatient. I'm the same way.
But then you get to play with it, right? So that's the trade-off.
And then I paint it. Usually, though, that's why my airbrush technique is kind of lazy.
I like
just spray it black, let it fade to the back, baby. You didn't paint the bottom? It's all shadows, girl. Straight shadows.
Dan is psychedelic with his stuff, though. I always liked your style.
Oh, thank you, Sid.
Yeah, you heard it from me here first.
Oh yeah,
Dan, I approve.
Well, maybe we'll kiss
night.
a bit after this.
That's nice.
That's good.
That's why I love Warhammer. I got some respect in this community because I paint my little models really well. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just thinking about kind of 8th in general. I mean, other than the hobby aspect that we're continuously doing, I want to talk about kind of its similarities to older editions and the appeal that it's having to old players coming back.
Yeah, there's a big resurgence.
I think a lot of people who played in 3rd to 5th, who maybe didn't like 6th and 7th, are coming back for 8th. So, I mean, are we losing a whole lot of players? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, if people are that grumpy about it.
I really don't think so. I think anyone who really gave a shit in 7th isn't going to leave. Even though they were like totally invested in it, it's probably because they really like the game, and they're going to stick to it. There's a lot of people who left during 7th, though, because of the whole unkillable stuff.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
I like that build. Sorry.
Before the power curve hit like the basement group, my brother used to play with us all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then like once stuff got unkillable and like crazy like that, he was a player who was used to playing 5th and 3rd editions where there was no unkillable units. So that was a whole new concept to him. And he totally turned his back on it. I bet tons of people did. You see it on Facebook all the time.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm on the...
I hope you're sorry.
We're talking to people. Robert wants to know what are thoughts on Frontline already making its own rules. Let the dust settle before.
ITC stuff.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like everyone seems to think that ITC actually had a whole lot of input in the 8th edition rules, and that's not true. It was actually Frank and Reese, particularly from Frontline Gaming, not ITC as a whole. So. I mean, what do you got? Do you have any opinions on that? I know we were talking about this before the show.
Quite frankly, I think one of the ones that's making a lot of waves is the whether or not to roll to see who plays first. And having, because obviously, like in 8th edition, if you don't know, you're crazy. But if you have the least amount of units, you go first, they can roll the C's against you. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't like it. I think you should still have to roll to go first. I like the idea of what ITC chose to do, which is to let them both roll, add +1 for whoever had the least amount. So there's still a bonus, but it's not like this one that like guarantees so much all at once,
Yeah.
Like Magnus and Friends.
I'm totally fucking indifferent. I gotta be honest. Like, I really don't care. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Either you're playing by GW rules, and whoever ends up putting their army down first gets to go first. Okay. Which means probably you've got like a pretty monster mashy or some kind of gimmicky army. And if you're playing a blob army, that's like kind of like, you were looking for that fight anyway. Or you get a +1 to your roll and it's exactly like it used to be, and then there's a C's anyway. So I mean, like, there's an opportunity for everybody to go first no matter what.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it. I don't like how it affords certain lists to pretty much make it like a regular occurrence. And this is a game that historically first turn has meant a lot to certain armies. Some armies it doesn't mean anything. Some armies they just go, everyone moved, you're done, your turn now, blah blah blah. But like some armies, they can do a lot of shooting on turn 1, and if they can make sure that they're always getting turn 1, or like for example the Magnus one, he can cross the table instantly. And if you can pretty much go first most of the time, like, that's scary, man.
But here's the thing, right? Like, if you know you have a really heavy footprinted army and you're likely going to go last, you can prepare yourself for likely going second. You know what I mean? Like, if you know that that's a pretty likely
outcome. Like, obviously it would feed into how you play.
Well, what I'm saying is you can tailor your army to it. Whereas before it was like, well, I really hope this doesn't happen to me. Now it's, okay, this is probably going to happen to me, so let me mitigate it with my list.
I still, going into sort of, like, the philosophical end behind it, there's not going to be an army that, like, always gets the jump on every other army they encounter. You know what I mean? And
you could build it. 4 Night Titans, Magnus and 3 Night Titans.
Yeah. Like, and you know what's amazing is if you consider it, like, what's basically happening with the Magnus list is, like, he's like rocking the house. Like, he'll see like a guard army down on Earth, and then like maybe the sky opens up and he's like, but he's like the biggest thing that exists, and there's no way you could ever fool anyone to being like, oh, he was just hiding in that building.
But I mean,
through like 8 different floors.
That's the thing, though. If Magnus becomes the meta, then it's just going to be building lists to kill Magnus, which you could do. I mean, if you took five Thunderbolts, all with Hellstrike missiles, Magnus is going to die. You know what I mean? Like, you can make that happen. And then, whatever else they've got left. Granted, now you've got 5 planes on the table.
I think, like, the issue with Magnus boils down to, like, why does he have to have the Incredible Smite and the Incredible Move? Can't he just have one or the other? You know what I mean? Like, if he was just on my D instantly, there was no Smite that was going to, like, murk a unit immediately, fine. But, oh man, like, it's like a double whammy. And, like, who wants to play the game where you're always trying to, like, prepare for this thing that's going to wreck you? But that's nice, like that GW's got chapter approved though. I mean, so maybe it'll change.
That's the thing too, right? Everyone's complaining about the game being so different. Maybe the rules are different. It's the same shit happening to you. You know what I mean? Like everybody kind of scrambles around. Somebody makes a super broken list. People emulate it. You see it a whole bunch. You make a list to counter that. Those counter lists become meta, so on and so forth, right?
I think one of the theories I had where a lot of these problems stem from is that because you can do whatever the hell you want for like a Force Org these days, it's not really ever going to be something like that starts on an even footing. Like, you're either going to be behind or ahead with like the type of list you're bringing, unless both players agree we're both bringing a brigade or like we're both going to bring a patrol.
That'd be
for some small game.
Like then a tournament format?
I think it would be smart because, like, if you think about 3rd edition, it was always a Force Org chart, and then however they filled it out depended on the outcome of the game. But now, like, if I took a Force Org chart, I can't expect to run into another, relatively spread out army, because you don't have to do that anymore. You could have 6 flyers, or you could have 6 heavy supports, you could have whatever you want. Like, you can... It's really different now in that regard. I mean, 7th had formations, so it wasn't the end, but like the CAD was still the meat and potatoes, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about it, no one's starting at the same point in 8th edition, for the most part.
I mean, think about it from like a business standpoint, though, right? Like GW. No, but I mean,
GW's making a shitload of money.
I'm not gonna.
Sorry to swear. Sorry.
No, you can say shit. Shit's not a swear. Okay, cool. Don't say fuck though. No, but I mean,
or anything to do with your.
They're making money. Don't talk about your penis at all.
Yeah, and don't get into anus stuff.
Nothing.
Oh, here comes Josh.
None of that shit. No, but I mean, from their standpoint, if people want to play whatever weird shit they want to play, why would you, as a company, limit that consumer's ability to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's I don't know. Like, obviously, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I'm taking advantage of some of the cool new detachments and stuff. But as far as like the play, I don't know, you're saying as a business, obviously as a business it doesn't hurt him, but as far as the play goes, it makes it a little more sporadic. Like, it's when everyone was taking an HQ and 2 troops and then some extras, you always knew, like, my core can deal with their core, HQs might be a little different, and then, like, what are going to be the sprinkles, what else is on top?
I mean, like, it's fun for a few years, but that's kind of boring.
Well, eventually,
you know what I mean? Like, now it's like, what the hell is going to happen?
chess never got updated.
It's not like every battle in history was ever fought. Like, how many guys you got?
Yeah, that's true.
I got these
Although it does help.
I these many then, so it's nice and fair.
Although nowadays, like, America is like a spearhead detachment, and the rest of the world's running CADs.
Don't get political, man. Right? No one wants that. Nobody came to see that.
Although Canada's got lots of elites, shout out to the world record sniper from JTF2.
But no, we can't talk about human murder like that.
If anybody,
at the core of this podcast,
you can make a good list, you can play a good list.
Yeah.
Other people are going to have other weird lists. You're going to have good games, you're going to have bad games. You're also going to have casual players, you're going to have competitive players. Nothing about the core of this game has changed at all.
Right.
A couple of the rules are different. They tried to make it easier to play, and people are like, you're an asshole, GW. How dare you try to essentially have the exact same game, but make it simpler. People are complaining about that. It's not a competitive game anymore. Like, I don't want to just sit around and roll.
Yeah,
fours all
it's
day.
just different.
Exactly.
When Magic cards got rid of damage on the stack, that was an element that they felt complicated the game, much like a lot of 7th. And then when they removed that, people were ticked off. I was ticked off. But players eventually adapted, and the game has not looked back since, so...
There's still a way to win. right?
Yeah.
There's a new set of rules to learn. There's a new strategy to pick up, but there's still going to be a way for you to satisfyingly stomp your opponent into the ground.
Yeah. Which you all live for.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to crush someone's dreams, you can still do that at 8.
GW on a Wednesday afternoon.
You can make all of their purchases a waste of money and laugh about it.
Find the daycare case.
Go in there and crush. Just crush.
That being said, producer Josh, how are we doing on the top 10?
The top 10's ready.
Top 10
we got a sign earlier. Top 10
Top
is
10 is
ready
ready.
to roll. Ready to roll.
Why don't we jump
Coalition
into the top
of the
10?
willing.
Why don't we break it up a little bit? Why don't we show the world my knees? Why don't we break it up a little bit? I shouldn't have worn shorts. That was a mistake.
Hey man, I'm not the one with my wang hanging out.
My wang is not
I'd be
hanging
proud
out
of
at
that
all.
fact.
It's far too tiny to be seen on television.
Show it off.
All right.
My wang looks like it was injured in a war.
Dan, since you're our
All right. So, these are the top 10 things that power gamers from 7th have in common with old people.
Yeah.
Ready?
I think we segued quite nicely into this one too. Right?
Yeah, so if we got any old people watching the show right now, get off! All right. So number 10, things cost more than they used to.
That's true. It's called inflation, but it's also points values.
Boy, I remember when you could get 6 loaves of bread for $1.
I'm just thinking about blood slaughters for 120 points. They're 180 now, and I'm not happy.
Sakarans are like 240-ish.
It depends how you load them up, man.
Woo!
Depends what you do.
Amen.
Sid, why don't you take us into number 9?
All right. Throw this thing up.
Don't you
Everything's
tell
so young. I'm the young.
Don't
Ever
Josh.
tell producer John.
No.
You don't get to talk to Josh.
He is God.
What are you talking-
My religion is Joshism.
All right, let's not. get out of his ass.
Judaism is way gone. It's way passe. I can't even march in Chicago.
Sid's
I don't
moved
know
on.
how to feel about that.
All right,
He's in the
Sorry,
temple
guys.
of Josh.
Josh, don't cut me. Okay, everything's for young people now.
Yeah, well, so you got people complaining about.
Oh, why does it say 3+ instead of a chart? What am I, a dumb kid?
Yes. And people had stupid arguments about stupid things because you're too stupid to be able to fucking use the chart, alright? I'm going to swear about that because it's annoying.
Well, my son can't play this game if there's a graph.
Don't talk to me or my son ever again.
Matrix, 2D Matrix.
2D Matrix. Number 8. The rules are poorly written and hard to understand.
I'll agree, it does feel like, once again, Games Workshop, British people have chosen the most convoluted language to print the rules
Yeah,
in.
English.
We can blame
What
most
a
of
bunch
the
of
problems in the
assholes.
world on that,
Well,
right?
man, no, you know what? It's not even like they should Google journalistic English, where it's literally so that anyone with like a 6th grade reading level can understand.
I love that. That's
you know
like,
what I mean?
That's the cause we're championing. Things are too hard to read.
Well, you know what? Like there are things that are like, oh yes, and on the roll of a 2+, it will, get this ability. But if you roll the die and but a 1 is encountered,
You show me the page.
then this ability shall be retracted
You gotta get your
from
Ds and
said
Ls.
character.
No, this is hyperbole. This is bullshit.
We'll get screenshots. I'll get them tomorrow. Number 7. The rules are too easy.
Yeah, I think you're gonna find that I wrote this in 5 minutes, and there's gonna be a little bit of overlap. They're all worded differently, so don't get all uppity.
But yeah, definitely feels like there's a lot less to this game. Also, like, what is it? Shadow Sword firing its gun out of its ass, like
Whatever, man.
hooking up like a hose to the sink and just
But
shooting.
here's the thing:
wherever
we
you want.
ruined that for ourselves.
Yes,
if we
we
could have
did.
just all gone along and agreed
If we
that
could have
this was
agreed
how
to
the
be
rules
reasonable.
work, instead of like rage quitting, like a certain little boy, Rory Tracy. Oh, it was my
At the
15.
GT.
All right, I was done. No, but I mean, like they're helping us because we're dumb. This is as the population becomes
we agree with that,
part of
right?
the idiocracy, it has become a far less complicated game since it came out in the 80s. Think about that. We're dumb.
Yeah.
It's our
Oh yeah,
fault.
yeah,
It's our fault.
absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Look, if millennials weren't always buying avocado sandwiches and going to Starbucks,
Man
maybe
bun
we'd have some
spray.
decent 40K rules. Thank you.
Waste all your damn money on man bun spray. Sorry.
I'm
Sid.
drowning in
Go ahead.
avocados,
Go
man. I
ahead.
got nothing to
I'm
show
taking
for
number
it.
6.
You got number 6, man.
Okay. This isn't how I remember playing.
Nice delivery.
Right delivery.
I'm the seventh
really
game.
good.
I'm the seventh power gamer, so I'm like just living the role.
I know. Well, this one was for you then.
Oh, guys, JC joined the chat.
Tracy. Jesus Christ.
Justin Carter.
Justin Carter.
Jesus
See,
Christ.
When I was writing
Juice.
this list, I was thinking about Juice the entire time. Yeah, that's not how you remember playing Tough Noogies.
That's true.
Tough Titties.
Yeah.
Tough whatever.
I never, to be fair though, I never used to play tough noogies.
No.
Just titties.
Never seen a Tough Titty.
Weather those titties, that's what I always say.
Number 5. Back in my day, we knew the Emperor was dead.
Yeah, yes. Well, we thought he was pretty damn close.
You can see that now I've run out of things and I've gone in a weird direction and they're just going to get weirder and weirder.
The Emperor back in the day was like that guy where the family's like, should we pull the plug?
And then they were just like, I can't make a decision. And then everyone died and they just left him there.
It was like the Emperor went surfing and then a rogue wave hit him and he was in a coma for like a couple hundred years.
He's in like a rent-controlled hospital bed.
rent control.
And like they can't do anything until he leaves and he's never going to leave.
It's good business for the hospital, to be honest.
They are losing a ton of money.
Can we throw a Terry Schiavo joke in there?
I don't even know.
Oh yeah,
Right ahead.
I think that's very appropriate to what we were speaking about.
Number 4.
R.I.P. Terry Schiavo. Number 4 is everything's too fast.
And this is the dumbest complaint. We were all bitching that like in a tournament setting it was too hard in a lot of cases to finish properly. And in a casual setting, I had a Ynnari on Ynnari game that lasted 6 fucking hours.
Yeah, you know what I find is really funny about the complaints about stuff dying fast is like, okay, so what was your idea for a quicker game? You're trying to kill each other. Like,
no, but I want
if this is
my
going to
units
take
to
less
survive.
time, stuff's got to die.
That's
you know?
it. It's like, hey, we made things weaker and made everything else stronger. Like we made your unit itself weaker and made the gun it shoots stronger. Is this happy? Are you happy?
Literally,
No.
all they could do
not
before would be like, okay, so everything is way weaker and it's 3 turns.
Yeah.
So good luck, losers.
Like at least you actually get to play through, and it's not even that the games go like. I mean, at least in the stage that we're in now.
Juice has already said this is bullshit. Let's play 7.
He's on that. He's on that train.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
I
number
feel
3.
like people that still in Betamax playing 7th, right?
Discs, right?
Juice is playing some good VHS tapes. He's got some nice hot mixtapes he's made.
Number 3, Sid. It's all yours.
I know this one intimately. None of my old stuff is as good as new stuff.
Because they want you to buy shit. Right? I mean, I'm bummed out about it too. But hopefully you had enough crappy units sitting on the shelf that are now good that you can just rotate them out. You can dust the dust. You can dust off the dust.
Not me.
Put more dust on the dust.
It's going to be a year of painting till I'm
From
current.
dawn to dust.
Got a dusty Auspex? There you go. That's a nice plug. Number 2. I hate taxes. Now, this is just a true statement.
Amen.
In general for me. But it does seem like there's a little bit more of that kind of taxation in it too now. Like
Well, with unit costs going up,
well, and now that you have to pay for all your war gear too.
anything
right?
with
Like,
2
not all the
las
time.
cannons, whether they're twin linked or not, is 50 additional points.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. Again, they kind of missed the mark on certain units, but I think overall they've done a decent job of balancing shit out. But yeah, if you don't want to pay for random crap, then pick a different unit. I don't know. I mean,
All special characters. All magnets.
And number 1,
flyers.
let me tell you, I'm very excited about this one. Number 1, my penis is broken.
It might be. It just might be if you're no longer.
Jeff Sully, I hope this is the ending you were hoping for.
I like how we lost 4. We lost 4 viewers with that one. They dropped.
An immediate 4 gone.
We're out of here. We don't.
Well, I was having a great time with the kids watching this podcast till one of the guys broke his penis.
Oh, there's another 2. Anyway.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, we plummeted.
Well, we've recovered 2 of the 4, so thank you for coming back.
Homoeroticism was like an auto sell.
We don't say that.
Yeah. Hey, whatever. I don't think we have a concrete rule that we don't have to say homoeroticism. I don't think it's...
No, we also don't want to, like, make
There's
it seem
nothing
like
wrong
it's
with it.
not a big deal. There's nothing wrong with it. Exactly. Like,
it's 2017. I will go on record as saying
I offered to kiss Sid after the show. So
don't appreciate it myself, mind you, but nothing wrong with it either way.
Hey, I got a GoldenEye watch. Woo!
Yeah.
What else you got on the docket there, Rory Tracy?
Monster Mash, and I mean, we sort of talked about this a little bit before.
Oh yeah, lists that we're gonna see.
Viable lists now, and I
well, what lists have you tried out so far? We should just go down and we've each played a handful of 8 games. What have you tried? What's worked?
I've actually been writing lists, and I find it super frustrating right now. Though all the lists I try to write, I'm always short by like 100, like 120 points or something. So you can't fit another one of the unit that I've been spamming in.
I find the worst is like when you have like 12 or 13 points left, and you're like,
I'm okay with that.
I gotta read the unit entries again because I can't just give someone something.
Perfectly happy bringing a 13-point shy army in. Considering I played a tournament with a 150-point shy army before, I don't really want to do that again. But I've been dusting off the 8 blood slaughterers that I have. I think I worked in a list where I can get 6 of them, and then the greater brass, and then the kind of my mandatory HQ. The only problem is I don't have enough points to put a bloodthirster in, and then with the I think even with the juglord that I had in there, I think it was 7 points over, so I had to drop the plasma pistol. So I might have to magnetize an arm or something. But yeah, no, weird shit like that.
Yeah.
And lists that I liked and that I only got to play before because I had that weird niche.
Well, also when we're all new, like, you can literally just take whatever you think is cool, and you'll probably have a fair game.
Which again, I like though. There's nothing wrong with that. You still have to take the time to make a good list. I can bring a stupid list and be like, I just like to play this, and I'm going for paint score, or whatever. Or you can sit there and math hammer for 6 hours and try to think about, where the best probably. I mean, typically you come back to last cannons. Yeah. You come back to like a big blob of shit and then last cannons. Yeah. They're good. Good gun.
I played 2 games with Eldar, like lots of 3 Eldar flyers, Crimson Hunters with a character trying to stay within the 6-inch bubble, and then I played a game with a 20-man Plague Marine blob. I had way more fun with the blob.
Yeah. I gotta say though, I feel like flyers are way more viable in this edition too. At least as we stand right now. In total vanilla mode, I might add too, right? We have no flavor yet.
Well, there's no jinx. There's no 6s to hit. Flyers are,
-1.
if anything, they're easier to hit and easier to hurt, but they have a lot more wounds.
Yeah.
And they're not an armor value now, so you're not just like, oh, my multi-mil to hit on a 6, and you're dead. Because I'm standing right below you, so
high power weaponry is still gonna blow them out of the sky,
and flamethrowers as well.
That is so stupid. If you're gonna FAQ,
shoot your flamethrower straight in the sky. They're gonna come back and burn us.
Just imagine like a MiG flying over your head, and you got a flamethrower here, bring it on, pussy.
I feel like even a ground flamethrower, just one that you would give a Space Marine now, is gonna have to have a turbine engine built in it to spew all the gas high enough up in the air,
I'm no Prometheum expert. I'm not even sure it's a real thing. But I don't.
Are you sure that plasteel armor is not?
Listen, I'll swear by Ceramite day and night. All right. But
I love the term plasteel because it's almost like a justification for plastic models. Yes, their armor is made of a very strong plasteel. Started as plastic, kids.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think some of the stuff like that is pretty goofy. Hopefully that'll get errated. I mean, and again though, but that's them trying to oversimplify anything, so we stop arguing with each other.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever had a problem with not shooting a flamer.
Why can't my flamethrower hit
the template will touch it? There's no templates anymore.
Unless you're hitting it while it's taken off, kid, your flamethrower is not hurting that plane. Yeah, the plane, what if the plane's at 15,000 feet? You're well, technically.
He had to come down to shoot you with his laser beams. You had to get real close.
I drew them in with my wiles and then flamethrowered them when they were near the ground.
Nobody flies higher than just out of arm's reach.
In the 41st millennium, the skies are very low.
Listen, the atmosphere is pretty much gone.
The atmosphere.
I believe that actually.
If you get too high up, it just sucks you into a black hole.
Fossil fuels are a bad call, man. We were saying it for years. This is where dogfights happen.
Oh. The lists from that one GT that just finished, while we're talking weird about lists and stuff, one of them was the Storm Raven list, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one was Gulliman and a bunch of Foot Marines.
Yep.
What was the third one?
No idea.
Wasn't it like?
I hate how you set
giving us some pre-show research.
Can someone in the chat take a look?
The third time I've looked like an
Do you remember what the third army was from that release on Blood of Kittens?
How many flyers were in that flyer list?
It was just all Storm Ravens, I think.
Like 6 of them or something?
I'm gonna pull this up because this is cool.
Pull it up.
6 Storm Ravens.
Pull it up. I mean, but that's the thing, though. I'm gonna sound like a broken record in this episode. If you want to buy 6 of those and run it as a list, why shouldn't you be able to?
So these are the results of the first 8th edition GT. Okay. First place went to... Whoop. This one I think is the Storm Raven list. Yes, so... Flyer Wing Detachment, 3 Storm Ravens. Flyer Wing Detachment, 2 Storm Hawks and a Storm Raven. And then attack squad and a captain with a jump pack.
Because you have to. Somebody has to be there to...
And it's a patrol, so you don't even get a CP for it. But it's just a captain with a jump pack and then a heavy flamer power fist tack squad of 6.
So this is an army with 3 command points?
5.
Or 5, sorry, yeah.
Plus so 2 flyer wings and then 3 base.
I mean, and I've had this argument with Kyle. He's saying that he's won games based on command points, and I believe him. I just don't. I've never been able to do anything more than interrupt a combat and fail to reroll a 1.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think it's really that much of an end-all, be-all game mechanic. I think it's
maybe we're just doing it wrong.
Maybe. I mean, that's totally possible. I've been told that before.
Okay, so second place was a battalion detachment. It looks like it's probably not Elder, not Craft World,
Harlequin.
I don't think it's got Incarnate Rain.
Oh, Yannari?
Yeah, it might be Yannari.
Homer Domer,
but it's mostly Harlequins.
Storm Ravens are murder machines, and I like that.
Yeah, it's basically a Harlequins list with Ivrain.
That I'm surprised to see, actually.
Is
Battalion, though, it's...
Is it Harlequin? Sorry, I was reading.
I think it's like Harlequin. It might
5
be
or 6
Yannari,
Harlequin
though.
troops. So it's the troops.
Harleys are expensive now.
It's 6 command points, so 1850, which is weird. This was an 1850 tournament.
I think go at the time.
Good for them, I guess. I don't know. 2000 is stupid.
And then
so are you.
This is the one that had Gulliman. So the battalion detachment was a Calexis, Captain Sicarius, and Robiut Gullimun. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tack squads with 1, 2, 3 Razorbacks and 2 Predators.
It's like a ton of special abilities stacked.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So everything's mounted basically, it seems, except for Gulliman, I guess.
And the cool thing about that too is the way that special characters work now too, right? Gulliman's kind of an exception to that rule, but like it's all about bubbles, right? So I mean, you really got to think about where you're putting stuff. So that's kind of, people who argue that the game's oversimplified now, I think you have to think a lot more. If you want to be smart about it, there's definitely more of a tabletop tactica.
Yeah, so the Harlequins were Yannari.
Yeah, I knew it.
So they were saying that the invulnerable saves plus the Yannari make the good combo, and then Gulliman is a force multiplier, obviously.
Yeah.
But the Flyers took it. That's pretty impressive.
That's what I'm saying, though, man. I mean, like you can win with overwhelming firepower, especially if it's a flyer and you can't assault it. Like that's a list that maybe, unless you were playing like a real objective heavy game, if it was just kill points or something.
But they can only go into like hover mode.
Yeah, but why would you want to? If you don't, they can't assault you, right?
Objectives last time.
Now here's a question too. Like, do you have to be in hover mode to cap an objective now, or like? Because that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's just whoever has the most models within 3 inches, right? So if you fly something over, dump it. I'm gonna have to reread that. I'm not 100%. Maybe somebody from the chat can correct me. But I mean, it seems like you could just cap objectives by just being smart about where you put your flyers. Either way.
Kind of sad to see a list like that win. The other lists were pretty kind of like troop heavy, fluffy.
Yeah.
But that one's just like Apocalypse Now.
It's a power list,
straight
right?
from the beach.
And again, if it's going to be an open tournament, you're going to have people like that trying to win. I don't see a problem with that, and I don't think we're ever going to see that go away.
Now.
Like, why would that ever stop, right? So
3 Flyers, or 3 Titans, and Magnus. I called it. See that next turn.
Well, I'm just going to start bringing all the flyers I can to kill Magnus. That's it. I'm just going to bring as many stupid, broken las cannons. Like it's like we took a biplane and we're just like, how many las cannons can you put on this? Please, just load it up.
Drop a single hand grenade.
Do it.
I will fly over top of you and drop a grenade into your cosh pit. Don't say cock.
General Ludendorff right in the head with that thing.
Well, I think, gentlemen, we're coming to the end of the show. I think we're
you got about 10 or so remaining. Roughly 15.
I think, Dan, we've come to the end.
Okay, well,
what I was trying to say, and then you made me look like a jackass again. I think that's it for this week's episode. Thank you very much for being on the show tonight, Sid. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much for having me. Sid Sector.
Next time we come on, we may be at a different location.
Sid also made a special offer to paint a model for free for one of our viewers. Big model. Bigger the better.
So send $20. Send $20 to me.
And some cookies.
And Sid will paint a model for free.
Maybe a beaky helmet.
One helmet, yeah. Attaboy.
This big. Keep it on your bedside table.
Yeah.
Remember me always.
All right. So, without further ado, to the narcs at home. OV has a question. Should we answer that quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. How do you guys think the doubles tournament will be? Well, from what we've been playing in our spare time is we've been doing a base 3 CP for each of the teams. So it's not like you come together with your base 3 and make 6. You just come and make 3. Heyo. That's how triplets are born. But basically, you show up, your team has 3 base plus whatever your individual players' lists give you. So, like, if you get +2, you get 2, then the team shares 3. I think it'll be interesting. 1250 is most likely the point value we're going to see, is what we've been playing at home, and it seems to do well, but yeah.
Feels right.
You know what? That's what they say about feeling right. It's all right.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that being said,
all right.
Thanks for
checking out this
everybody.
double chin.
We'll see you next week. If you're not having fun,
you're cheating.
Have a great night.
They say about feeling right. It's all right.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that being said,
all right.
Thanks for
checking out this
everybody.
double chin.
We'll see you next week. If you're not having fun,
you're cheating.